Really weird stuff. That's very weird.
Really Weird Stuff is a holistic Twin Peaks podcast. That means we discuss each episode within the context of the series as a whole. In other words, spoilers abound. Welcome to episode 7 of Really Weird Stuff, a Twin Peaks podcast. I'm Jessica Baxter.
I'm Annie Malone or Amy Degree. Amy, oh my god! Why can't I say my fucking name? I don't really have one. Alright, this time I'm just Annie Malone today.
Yes, there you go. That's what it's a sign that you need to just own that shit.
Well, if my divorce would ever be final, then I will change my name.
You can be whoever you want to be, though, without the law. Today's episode is Season 1, Episode 6, Realization Time, which first aired May 17th, 1990. It was written by Harley Payton and directed by Caleb Deschanel, father to Emily and Zoe, and husband to Mary Jo Deschanel, who plays Eileen Hayward. To help us through this episode, we're joined by a very special guest, Matt Fisher, one half of the intrepid duo of X-Rated Podcast. What is your history with Twin Peaks, Matt?
So I had heard about it, in the zeitgeist, like people reference it, but it wasn't until the gold box set came out that I actually watched it. I was kind of familiar with other David Lynch stuff ahead of time. I'd seen Mulholland Drive and Blue Velvet and Eraserhead all before Twin Peaks, because at that time it was in a strange place legally. The second season was out on DVD, but like the first season, I might have this reversed. The first season was like held up, so like you could only buy one season on DVD for like 8 years. And it wasn't until that gold set came out that like you could finally get the complete collection. And so my grandmother begrudgingly got it for me for Christmas. So whenever that gold set came out, I want to say it was probably like 2010.
2007.
I really enjoyed it. Waited a couple years. The second time all the way through that I watched it was with an ex. We both really enjoyed it. So this marks my third rewatch all the way through, and the only televised drama that I've watched more than once.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's saying a lot.
I have a tough time with televised drama, even like prestige stuff. I never finished Mad Men. I never finished Breaking Bad. I've seen The West Wing all the way through. I've seen The Sopranos all the way through, but like I've never rewatched it. Even Gilmore Girls that I love, I've never watched all the way through. Yeah, Twin Peaks, that's the only televised drama I've seen all the way through more than once.
I'm like that too, like I can just watch like a season or two of a show and I'm like, I'm good. I almost never watch an entire series. I don't think there's a drama that I've watched more than once. But I never relate to people, like I never shared that, like.
It's true,
yeah. It was like, what? Why did you stop him? I got a sense of it.
Yeah, part of it is that it's only like 2 seasons. Granted, season 2's pretty long, but it just makes it an easier watch. Like if you're gonna like watch like ER or something, it's like, oh gosh, 11 seasons. Where do you start? Where do you stop? Twin Peaks is just, it is this. It's digestible. I kind of believe that all modern prestige television, regardless of whether it's like Game of Thrones or Mayor of Easttown, they all kind of like fit the same mold. They have the same pacing. The opening credits is always like this orchestral thing with CG graphics and like that like runs you through it. And I don't know, there's something different about Twin Peaks. Like the pacing's a bit different. The music is different. And I think part of that just stems that like the driving creative force behind it is David Lynch, like a director, where like the driving force behind most prestige drama is like a showrunner or a writer. Yeah. And so like the narrative is like the big thing that draws you. And a lot of like what makes Twin Peaks interesting is the visuals. And like he goes at it from the point of view of a director. And I think that if you're a movie person or a movie geek, it kind of draws you in a little bit more to have it be a little bit more visual than your standard television drama.
Absolutely. I also feel like he's the inventor of the Easter egg. I don't know if that's
Oh,
true,
yeah?
but that just really sets it apart in a way. But it's totally different than an Easter egg that's like with a comic book property where it's like, oh, it was a nod to this or that, this like thing that existed before. It's just all his own world that he created with Mark Frost, of course. I don't know. I feel like Mark Frost gets left behind a lot, but he definitely...
Writing partners are important.
Yes. But obviously the aesthetic is Lynch all the way.
Yeah, the aesthetic and just the vibe, like the idea that you can bounce from like scary to like his brand of humor.
Yes.
So easy. I don't know, most prestige television shows don't bounce between genres like that. But not the way that Twin Peaks does, I feel.
No.
Watching it this time all the way through, I appreciate the humor this time in it more. I think it was in the Barb and Star episode of Paid and Puke. You were talking about the show The Fall.
Yeah.
And how it was just like so heavy that like you couldn't make it through it.
Yeah.
I think Twin Peaks could have done that if like Dale Cooper wasn't so just boyish. I think without those like little bits of humor, Twin Peaks easily could have fallen. If you had given this same concept to different creative types, like it would have just been this like dour slog all the way through. This watch, I just appreciate the sense of humor, the coffee and pie stuff all just lands better on this watch.
That's terrific. Yeah, I really love his sense of humor too. Every single genre that I love, even horror, has to have jokes in it somewhere, or I'm just not going to connect to it as much. Humor is so important to me. It's got things that tickle me. I guess whether or not they tickle everyone, that's another thing, but...
Well, because, like, when you're really depressed or upset, it's not like you don't ever laugh, and, like, chances are you're probably laughing at, like, inappropriate things, even. You know, you want to process it, and like being able to like laugh a little bit helps you like confront these things. And David Lynch's humor isn't exactly my brand of humor, but there is something endearing about it. I'm finding it very refreshing on this viewing. You know, not in this specific episode, but in a previous episode when he was talking to like Albert on the phone. He's like, Albert, I've got the best place for you to grab a bite.
He really wants to see the best in people.
He does. I think we need to take the title of America's Sweetheart away from Katie Couric and give it to Special Agent Dale Cooper. Like,
wait, does she still have that title?
Something about Coop. He's just, he is America's sweetheart.
Well, that's why he's our permanent MVP. So
Yeah.
we have to pick somebody else. And that's a good segue into the episode, because I feel like the scene that opens this episode is the best of Coop. I mean, he just fucking nails this interaction with Audrey in his hotel room.
Audrey, you're a high school girl. I'm an agent of the FBI.
So do you want me to leave or what?
What I want and what I need are two different things, Audrey. When a man joins the Bureau, he takes an oath to uphold certain values. Values that he's sworn to live by. This is wrong, Audrey. We both know it.
But don't you like me?
I like you very much. You're beautiful, intelligent, desirable. You're everything that a man wants in his life. But what you need right now, more than anything else, is a friend. Someone who'll listen.
But don't you kind of want them to get together? If circumstances were different?
In the future.
Yeah, like, once the case is closed, or if he was, like, passing through town for something else, don't you kind of think they'd make an okay couple? Like...
Oh, I think, like, she's just born a little too late. I feel like you can see that in him. You know, when she did the last episode, when she told him she was 18, you can see the wheels turn. Like, technically legal, right?
But he's like,
I mean,
no,
he's
it's
like,
not
I
appropriate.
cannot date a high schooler, you know. I mean, I have to respect it, but yeah, I feel like they'd be a scorching couple. Like,
how old is Coop? Do we know? He's got to be 34 or something like that.
I feel like he's really young 30.
35.
And so, yeah, it's just like, he's in inappropriate territory to date an 18-year-old, but for some reason, emotionally, I feel like they're both kind of in the same spot, and that if he wasn't in a position of authority over her, there's a timeline where they could make it work.
I agree with you, yes.
Yeah, if she...
I do think there's a timeline. It's like definitely one of those things where if he did get a place there, if like it didn't end the way it did, unfortunately, everything's fine and he wound up buying that house and vacations there sometimes, and it's like 2 years from now they run into each other at the double R, that would work out.
Well, that's what I say, like, the formula is like half your age plus 7.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
So, like, if it's 30 and 18, that doesn't work, but
Well, she needed time to...
You wait like 5 years, then, yeah.
Plus, she hadn't dated anyone, I get the impression. Not really. Or
Also,
at least,
yeah, you don't want to date someone who hasn't dated people.
Yeah.
You don't want to be someone's
Not as a
first.
full adult.
Yeah.
No. So she needed that time.
I love Audrey a lot more on this rewatch. Like, I've always liked her, but she hits that chaotic good that I think most gay men try and identify with, your Blanche Devereaux, perhaps, like...
Oh, I feel that too. Oh my god, she's the best. I mean, we both love her.
We both love Audrey.
We're on different ends of the spectrum there, but...
We're on different...
The sexuality spectrum.
Oh, I know.
We're on
I'm
slightly
so boring
different ends.
I'm hetero, but also in love with Audrey.
I mean, because she's the best.
She's so beautiful.
She's so gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
But she also is still a kid, and I do love the pains that the episode takes. I don't know if it's David Lynch's direction or Sherilyn Fenn choice. The little things she does that are so kid-like.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She still reads as very youthful. Not a full-blossomed woman yet. She's very aware and comfortable of her sexuality. They don't make her out to be like Megan Fox in Jennifer's Body or something like that. She still wears these like ankle-length plaid skirts and like Jane Wyman like cone bras with like a sweater over it and stuff like that. It's all very like 1950s sexual.
Yeah.
Like it's not modern sexual.
Which I think is partly an aesthetic that David Lynch is going for.
100%.
And also, it's interesting that before he gets later love interest, she's kind of the one that is the most stylistically similar to him. I mean, he's compared to Cary Grant.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, she's like Ava Gardner.
Oh, yeah. But it's also like, she's gonna solve this case all by herself. She doesn't need FBI forensics to help her. At the end of the episode, they end up at the same place, roughly at the same time. And like, she did it just by grit and intuition and using back channels. Coop does it the straight and narrow path, science and police investigation, but it's like, they both end up at the same spot. I hate saying stuff like this, but like the yin to his yang, like she's...
Well, and also she's the one who originally gave him the note, that Jack with one eye. She planted the seed in him.
Yeah.
Like, he would have found out about One Eye Jacks eventually, but...
They seem one of a piece.
Yeah.
Yes. I think he feels that when he's talking to her. And it's just so very sweet, too. The way he looks at her when he's giving her compliments, but then he looks away, respecting her.
Right.
And then, of course, he has a handkerchief.
Right.
No.
He's the guy who has a handkerchief, a clean handkerchief, to dry her tears.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm gonna go down and get us 2 malts and some fries downstairs. Then I want you to tell me all your troubles.
I could take all night.
Night is young.
He was a true gentleman in that scene. Just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, I really like when he says what I want and what I need are 2 different things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Secrets are dangerous things, Audrey.
Do you have any?
No.
Laura had a lot of secrets.
Finding those out is my job.
I just love the way she sighs. When he, like, I feel like her sigh is all of us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Coop.
It's a little sus when he claims that he has no secrets, but I believe that later on down the road, he's like, I wasn't really being truthful when I said that. I can't remember exactly, but he does confide in her his whole backstory with Caroline and Wyndham Earl and yada yada. That's all season 2 stuff.
You know what I love too, when he says, you can tell me all your troubles, and she said that might take all night, and he's like, the night he's young. I really appreciate that too, because he's so tired, because the night before, like, people were being so loud and woken up at 4 a.m., so...
Yeah, that's right.
I really think that's like an extra layer of sweetness on his part that, like,
Mm-hmm.
he was probably hoping to crash early tonight because he's exhausted. He had
Right.
a long-ass day.
Now that you mention it, like, I do feel like his gait was a little weary as he was walking down the hall
Yeah.
before he noticed his door ajar. So
Hey.
he does value his sleep. We talked a lot about the last episode about how Coop was so cranky when he didn't get a good night's sleep.
I mean, he was a little cranky when they got to that bird. I don't like birds.
You want to feed him, Agent Cooper? I don't like birds.
It's like the first time that we've seen Coop not enthused
He's
about, like,
not, right?
evidence.
Rattled.
Yeah.
He's never
so
said he doesn't like anything.
unflappable,
Yeah,
yeah.
he loves everything except bird. What a funny little detail.
Right.
I don't
He's
care for
unfazed
birds.
by the llama in his face.
Yeah, that's
Like, he
right.
does not want to see a bird crave.
What a good moment that was. Like, I know it's not this episode, but, like, just beautiful moment.
But before we get to the Waldo stuff, we have Andy walking in trepidatiously, and he asks Lucy if she's still mad at him, and she answers by calling him Officer Brennan, telltale sign. It's peak activity at the switchboard.
Good morning, Officer Brennan.
I sure wish you would stop calling me Officer Brennan.
Officer Andy, this is peak activity time at the station switchboard.
Andy, Lucy.
Yeah, how do you feel about them?
I mean, clearly they're meant to be together, but it's not happily ever after. They're gonna be together and they're gonna fight all the time, and it's gonna be disharmonious their whole lives. But you know what? They're meant for one another.
Yeah, they're definitely like-minded.
They're like-minded. You know, who can say no to someone as tall as Andy?
Thank you, Doctor. No, I'm fine. Bye.
Lucy's obviously pregnant.
And for some reason mad about it.
And I don't think
There's
I
something
ever
I don't
understand
get.
why she's mad about it.
I don't get it.
Well, because, you know, Andy's not... It's not that he's not reliable, but in modern terms, I feel like he wouldn't text you back right away. He'd leave you on red, like, all day. That's the sort of thing that I feel is just, like... He's only got so much bandwidth, and so, like, when he's working, he's got to be working. He can't be attending to his romantic needs
You
as
don't
well.
want a distracted Andy.
Yeah, exactly.
Focused Andy is bad enough.
Yeah. And I could see, especially if you were pregnant, you're like, you need to step up and see if I can be a priority for you. Because if I can't, this is just trouble.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
It just turns so fast once he finds out why she's mad at him.
Yeah.
And then it turns into that horrible, questionable paternity with
Oh,
Dick Tremaine.
right.
I also feel like she's got a little nerve being mad at him. Like, I don't remember the
when
whole
she doesn't
thing.
know which
You're
one.
right,
Yeah, she doesn't know who the baby daddy is.
Get it, girl, but also...
But, like, don't be mad about it, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think she likes drama.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Well, she likes to watch Invitational Love at work.
Yeah.
She's like, I need my own soap opera plot. Coop comes in, he's got his whistle.
Do we know where he got that?
He whittled it himself.
Yeah.
Did I, like, sleep through that? Like, I don't remember him whittling anything.
He whittled in the pilot.
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
and Truman are in the car staking out the roadhouse, and he's whittling.
Oh.
Whittled whistle.
yeah, he really is. It's showed up in like every episode since. pretty much.
I really wanted to like watch all these episodes with a full night in between. 'Cause I did like a full rewatch up to this point because like I didn't want the episodes to bleed together. I wanted them each to be distinct, so I wanted like a full 24 hours to be between them. It just didn't work out that way. After I watched the pilot, I was like, I can watch one more and separate the two, and I ended up watching them in like 2 to 3 episode chunks each, just because that seems like the way the show was meant to be watched.
Absolutely.
You're supposed to watch 2 to 3 episodes at a time.
Yeah. He obviously had to release it episodically when it
Yeah.
first came out, but I don't know if this is true, but I heard a rumor that he fought with the DVD production company about like separating the episodes out because he's like, well, technically it's one long movie.
Yeah.
Like, no, you have to separate them.
There's a difference between
David.
TV and movies.
Yeah.
It seems on brand, though. I believe it because he famously doesn't put chapter breaks in his DVDs.
I remember my first viewing of Mulholland Drive. I didn't realize how long it was, so I started watching it like when I got off of work, and this is when I was like working at the record store, so I got off of work at like 10:30, went home, made dinner, probably started the movie around like 11:30 at night, and I was like, I'll just stop here, I can skip to the chapter in the morning, and next morning I was like, there's no chapters on this thing. And like I just had to sit and fast forward till I didn't recognize anything.
So, yes, he He's tooting his whistle. Doc Hayward is there because he just apparently is never seeing patients at his own practice.
Doc Hayward, the pediatrician.
Has done research to find out about the bird because there's no vet in town to talk to. What happened to the vet?
Well, yeah, they got the files from the vet, didn't they?
Why not just talk to that vet about the bird? But no, because I guess they don't want to hire new actors.
Commonly known as the hill myna, native to Southeast Asia, Indonesia. Feeds on fruit, mainly, some invertebrates. Its ability to mimic the human voice is amazing.
He just must have some screen time clause or something. Right? You gotta fit Hayward in somehow.
Yeah, he really is in
like
every
he's got some
episode
deal
of the
with
first
network,
season.
Yes, and it's like, it does not usually make sense that he's in a scene.
I was definitely thinking that. I was like, what is he, a vet now?
Still, he has one of my favorite lines of the episode. These grapes are right on the edge.
Yep.
You got any apples?
Yeah, there's some in the bottom of the fridge.
These grapes are right on the edge.
Like, it's gonna make the difference to the bird.
Yeah, I was like, it's a bird.
I almost feel like that's a Seinfeld joke.
And he was in Seinfeld.
Yeah, and so was Jacques Renault, I think.
Oh, maybe. I know Grace Zabriskie was. She's not in this episode, but
Yeah.
Dr. Hayward and Grace Zabriskie were the parents of George's fiance who dies.
Right.
Susan, yeah.
Oh, so forensics.
Forensics confirms that Jacques Renault had 3 guests to his cabin. Laura Palmer, Ronette Pulaski, and Leo Johnson.
Another episode we were talking about, maybe they hadn't gotten very far with forensics at this point,
Right.
but forensics confirmed that Laura, Leo, and Ronette were all at Jacques Renault's cabin. There's one photograph on the camera that developed, and it's a picture of a blonde woman's shoulder with the bird. Coop tries to throw another softball to Harry.
Recognize anything?
Says,
That's our Waldo.
It's the only exposed negative on that roll of film, Harry. Look familiar?
That's our Waldo.
No, Harry the girl. That's Laura.
Oh, Harry.
Oh, God love him.
He turns the picture almost all
Yeah.
the way around, trying to figure out the orientation. It's also really funny to me how excited Coop gets about this kind of slightly illegal field work that they're going to do.
Well, I think a little field work is in order.
Jack's is over the border, a little out of our jurisdiction.
Well, I know that, Harry. That's why I was thinking this would be a good job for the Bookhouse boys.
Oh, yeah. It's like for such a Boy Scout, like the moment anything outside his jurisdiction comes along, like he's in for it.
Yeah. He fucking loves that shit. And of course, he's got that whole briefcase full of disguises, so he came prepared. He was like, I was hoping you'd tell me it was out of our jurisdiction.
God, that wig that he gives Big Ed, who is that fooling?
Right, and why?
Why?
Yeah.
You know him there?
Right, Coop has glasses.
Why don't you just comb his hair back? Ed doesn't need a wig, like maybe the mustache, but he looks like he's hirsute enough. You could have just told him to not shave for a couple days, get like a good 5 o'clock shadow going. I don't know, it seemed like the disguise was hurting more than it was helping.
It doesn't make any sense.
He did not understand his character at all.
The moment they opened that briefcase, I was like, who's buying that rug? Coop cleans up nice, though. Like, when we see him later in that suit, I was like, yeah, he does have that Cary Grant chin.
Yeah, he is a very handsome man. We'll get to that because I want to talk about that whole scene. But first, we're at the Johnson house where Leo is looking at Bobby through binoculars as he loudly approaches Shelley's house, yelling Shelley. I don't know, that guy wants to get shot.
Bobby.
I don't want him to get shot, but come on, man.
All my shitty high school crushes rolled up into one, Bobby is. Like,
oh, yeah, well.
I just...
He's a dreamboat.
It's weird because, like, on paper, both him and James should be equally attractive to me. The more James is in the show, the less attractive he becomes. But Bobby's still, like, at the same level, despite all his shit-assery. Even though Bobby's horrible, I'm still just like, yeah, I'd totally do that.
We've really grown to appreciate that.
We don't think Bobby's horrible.
Yeah,
We think
Bobby's
actually
going
very
through a lot.
sympathetic.
Yeah,
but he does dumb shit.
He's just needlessly defiant.
You don't respect his rebellious state?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it was an episode or two before where his father, they're at the dinner table and they're talking about it. I was like, good thing he's got this super understanding father who's trying to control it, but not hammering the nail down on Bobby. He understands that, like, he needs to become his own person, and at this stage in life, he just does it through rebellion, but I wouldn't have patience for it.
His girlfriend was brutally murdered like 4 days ago.
He doesn't doesn't seem to really be that perturbed by the whole situation. Like, he's definitely more invested in Shelley. That's where his heart is. Like, they don't show it this way necessarily, but it almost seems like the him and Laura Palmer thing was almost for the aesthetic. The status. Yeah.
Like the two most popular kids in school.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the quarterback.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, thank you. You know, Laura died, it's like he's kind of upset, but like he's definitely more interested in Shelley, and more power to him for following his heart, but sometimes I think he's just a little needlessly defiant, but still in the would hit category.
He's still a 17-year-old boy, lest we forget that they do dumb things. They're just not always thinking with their top brain.
Yeah.
And he does seem to really care about Shelley. And I think that Machen Emick is amazing in this scene.
Really
this is like some of the best acting she does.
Leo came home late last night. He was all beat up. He had blood on the roof. I told him I was never, ever gonna let him hurt me again. But he came in. So I pulled the trigger. I shot at Bobby. What am I gonna do? Where am I gonna hide?
Rewatching the show this time around has made me realize like the failings of Riverdale. I don't know if any of you have watched it or tried to watch it.
Tried.
And it's like you want to like it because it's obvious that they're going for Twin Peaks thing. Like it's not even a subtext. Like they have Madchen, like she's Betty's mom. It's like they're very clearly drawing comparisons. It starts with the death of a teenager and stuff like that. And when you put Twin Peaks and Riverdale next to one another, you see all the flaws of Riverdale.
Yeah.
It's a shame because like the people who wrote Riverdale are clearly like movie geeks because like every episode title is the name of like a semi-obscure movie. They have an episode called like In a Lonely Place, which is like a Nicholas Ray film, or the episode that introduces the Pussycats is called Faster Pussycats. I wanted to like that show. All I could see was how it was trying to be Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And like watching Twin Peaks again, I was like, oh, it was such a failure. Like it fell so short. Probably part of that is just that they didn't have a good creative force leading the pack.
I feel like you can't try to be Twin Peaks. That's your first mistake.
Whenever you get like a director that's like so good that they're their own genre, the things that you hate most is like other people trying to be that genre. Like you watch one of those horrible Pulp Fiction knockoffs from the 90s. It's like those are just the most insufferable movies.
Oh my god, yeah.
Thankfully, while David Lynch is sort of his own genre, there's not too many copycats. Yeah. Like there are people who try, but I don't know. I feel like it kind of falls to the wayside, including I think like his daughter, I think even kind of copied him a little bit. You watch Boxing Helena, and I think there's little Lynchian things in that one too. Which...
I feel like the most Lynchian thing in that is the color palette is so Lynchian to me. I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that. I just remember watching
and
it and
also
it was...
Sherilyn Fenn, but...
Yeah, that's true. David Lynch, it's hard to copy him correctly. Even when he's like doing something for mainstream ABC TV, it's hard to copy him just right.
Yeah. It's because he's a vibe.
You can't copy a vibe. In this scene, I think one of the motifs in this episode is someone else's point of view. You know,
You're right.
Looking through the binoculars.
We're jumping ahead a little bit, but like Bobby's watching James and Donna and Maddie, and yeah, Bobby is being watched when he goes over to Leo's place. Yeah.
And Audrey, they show her when she's hiding in the closet.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The preposterous scene where she's smoking in a closet with no one noticing.
Oh my god, I know. The only explanation for that is Emery just smokes so many cigarettes that he can't even smell anymore.
What's also funny how when Bobby's reassuring her and he's like, I'm going to deal with Leo and I'm going to deal with James.
I know, she's like, I
didn't even care about James.
I didn't even say anything about James.
And why would she care at all about James?
He's just really fixated on James. He fucking hates James, as do we all.
I mean, fair, yeah.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago when you were talking about how the LVP of every episode can't be James, I was like, what do y'all got against James? And then like I started rewatching, I was like, oh yeah. He serves a purpose in the pilot, and then I really think that he struggles. Even the scenes in this episode, I was like, you could have cut this down to just Donna and Maddie.
Yeah.
And it would be the exact same thing. It's like they put him in because like they didn't know what else to do with him. It could have just been two people.
They never know what to do with him. It's just, he remains completely useless. But it's fun for us. But Waldo actually saves Bobby because Leo overhears Lucy talking about him on the police scanner.
Bird scene? No, this bird is the sheriff's a witness. No, not just because it saw something, because it talks.
So he rushes off to the station instead of shooting Bobby. I don't know if Lucy's on the phone or who she's talking to, but it's kind of a direct contrast to her phone call in the beginning with the doctor, which I think is good phone acting. I'm always really noticing phone conversations and things. She's not terribly expository with the doctor. They let that one speak for itself. And then this one she's like, no, because it saw something. Not just because it saw something. Because it talks. No, it doesn't eat birdseed. Because you know people talk.
Who is she talking to?
It's just interesting that they can do it right one time in the same episode and then do it so horribly wrong at the other part. At the Hayward house, Maddie, Donna, and James are listening to the tape that Maddie found.
What's up, Doc? Just a few words before I go to sleep. I feel like I'm gonna dream tonight. Big bad ones, you know? The kind you like. It's easier talking into the recorder. I guess I feel I can say anything. All my secrets. The naked ones. I know you like those, Doc. I know you like me, too. That'll be my little secret, okay? Just like your coconut. Why is it so easy to make men like me? And I don't even have to try very hard. Maybe if it was harder.
And James, so helpful, turns it off just so
I
can tell all my secrets. All I've heard in the past.
100% thinking that. I was just like, maybe you should leave the room if this is making you uncomfortable, because this is potentially super important information. Yeah.
No, he doesn't like that she finds it easy to make men like her.
Which, I mean, understandable. I can understand why you would not want to hear that from, like, the girl that you were presumably in love with. Still, this is important. Him turning off the tape player, like, bugged me. Both this viewing and the viewing from over the weekend. I was just like, James? Can you just not be in the room for, like, 5 minutes?
Let the ladies take care of this.
Yeah.
You don't think Donna's upset? Like, Maddie?
Yeah, I also kind of feel like Lara Flynn Boyle, like, gets less lines because they have to split her lines with James. You could just do the same scene with the two of them doing everything. Now that it's, like, been pointed out how, like, James is just, like, the hole in the donut. Like, it's all I can see.
You can't unsee it. I love that. Maybe he gets a phone call from Laura. I also feel like they could have cut it a little bit. There's just, like, so many lines around them finding the empty tape case and being like, what could this mean? Oh, look, there's a date on it, February 23rd. Oh, look, it's not in the box. Like, that could have been condensed a lot.
Yeah.
And there's even a deleted scene in this episode. That kind of drives me crazy. It's a deleted scene about Johnny Horn.
Oh.
Where Sylvia and Jacoby are trying to deal with him, and Sylvia's being typically abusive, and Audrey intervenes and blames her mother for Johnny's condition. Sylvia then turns the blame back on Audrey and says she pushed him down the stairs when they were younger.
What? He's like 5 years older than her.
Those horns are just paragons of virtue.
Oh my god. But here's like a nice Jacoby thing. They should have left it in because Jacoby doesn't get very many chances to be kind of cool. It says Audrey leaves and Jacoby explains to Sylvia that Audrey is not to blame. but an early emotional drama, and also maybe his mother, but he doesn't say that. Now we're at Horn's department store, and I love this scene.
This is a good
Yeah.
a lot going on in this.
I feel like there's a world out there where David Lynch's Dune, like, was a success, and, like, he became director for hire a little bit. Like, not totally. There's a world where I see, like, David Lynch did Hand That Rocks the Cradle or something like that.
Yes.
Not necessarily stuff tailor-made to him or his own scripts, and a lot of the stuff concerning, like, the department store or leading to One-Eyed Jacks, I feel is what we would have got if, like, David Lynch was handed someone else's script. He directed it and had a little leeway. Sometimes I like to imagine, like, what if David Lynch got, the remake of Cape Fear or something like that? And I think it just kind of would have been something like these scenes of how Audrey's conniving her way to One-Eyed Jacks. Mm-hmm. They're just fun and they're interesting. Like, I'm intrigued. I'm here for this journey. I love how Audrey, like, terrible sales girl.
I know.
Just the worst.
Here, try this. It smells like a florist.
This won't do. I want something more fruity.
Fruity.
As in fruit. I'm not making myself clear. I want a scent that makes a statement.
Maybe you should try hanging it around your neck. It's a perfume, it's a fashion accessory. 2 statements for the price of 1?
I don't appreciate your attitude.
What she lacks in her sales pitch, she more than makes up for with cunning. We were all laughing when she goes to the stock room or whatever, and there's, like, the stock boy.
There's a real bad accident outside. It sounded like a bus or something.
How did she just have his number like that?
She's like, I heard there's a big accident. He's like, big accident? This I gotta see.
How did she know that about him? Would that have been your reaction? All right, not even a word, I'm out.
If I was stocking shoes or whatever it is, and someone's like, there was a big bus accident, I would be like, uh-huh. Cool, I got a job to do.
It's like he's resigned to it, too.
He's like, my Achilles heel.
Like, he doesn't seem excited, but it's like he knows.
Maybe she knows he has that fetish from Crash.
Yeah.
That's what she does about it.
He's a symphorophilia.
Yes,
I had to look up that word for that movie.
I knew you would know that word.
The book came out before that was a real word, so I feel like J.G. Ballard was in on some wavelength.
It's also right before that part when they're at the perfume counter that there's an invitation to love promo, like this lifestyle.
The cutout?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw the cutout. I couldn't.
It's like jade or emerald.
Oh.
Their hair is different.
Well, I don't know which one. It's one of them.
I love that whole exchange with that old lady who actually has a name. That character's name is Theodora Ridgely.
Oh.
It was in the script. It's funny to name her instead of being like customer.
I wonder if there were plans that she would come back someday. The
way she says, I don't appreciate your attitude, just cracks me up so much. It kind of reminds me like that my mom used to say that to me in that exact way, maybe. I think that's what's tickling me. I do appreciate Audrey's attitude. Very much.
I do very much.
Well, I can't even imagine, like, the aggravation of, like, working a perfume counter. You spray it, they smell it, they say that they want it more fruity. You've been smelling stuff all day. I know that they, like, keep coffee beans at the counter because, like, that's supposed to cleanse your nasal palate or something. But I'm like, boy, if you had to do that for more than a couple hours, your nose would go all numb and you'd no longer be able to tell them apart.
Yeah.
So
maybe
it's
that's
just...
why they hire high school girls. They're only going to be able to work part-time anyway.
Well, we quickly learn why they only hire high school girls.
No, it's because of the short hours. It's not that they're having them work long after hours. I also think it's really funny the way Audrey grabs Jenny. She, like, reaches behind and, like, squeezes both of her arms.
Right.
And is like, I'm gonna use the little girl's room. Like, are you flirting with me?
Yeah.
Maybe she's just one of those people where you're like, she is definitely flirting with me just because she just is so beautiful. And you're like, I wanted you to be, so you were?
She gets her way into that office and then goes in the closet and still smoking.
She's like 2 feet away from them.
Smoking has got to be one of the things that dates the show, but not in a bad way. But obviously there's like 18-year-olds in bars. That doesn't happen really necessarily anymore. But it's like everybody's smoking indoors. You know, if you ever go to a casino around here, it's like you walk in, you're like, oh, they allow smoking indoors here. You
Right.
can just smell it. And that was just how places smelled indoors. Like, you just got used to it. Now when I walk in someplace where they allow smoking, I gag. 'Cause it's so bad.
And then you can
Good.
smell it on you.
It's on your clothes, it's in your hair. I'm just like, how did we as a society accept this?
How did
Like,
we live like that? I don't know.
yeah. I will say, you look good smoking. Someone
Yeah.
with a cigarette is very attractive.
And it also feels good while you're doing it. And then it feels terrible when you stop. So.
Yeah, the smell in furniture and rugs and clothes and your hair. I'm just like, boy, I don't know how we did it for decades. I mean, centuries, technically. I don't know, I feel like post-World War II is when smoking culture really took over. I'm glad that we have fought hard to get rid of smoking indoors.
It's crazy, like how there used to be a smoking section on a plane.
Like, what good does that do?
I know. It's like, oh, there's several rows back. It's not affecting in this tiny enclosed space. But
Even like at a Denny's or something, would you like the smoking or not? Well, it's like, it's literally one booth apart.
Do you not know how smoke works?
Yeah. It's like, do you have a COVID section and a non-COVID section too?
Oh my god, that's the future maybe.
Oh, I love Jenny's line, which is like, that sounds fun as long as
Well, they're wealthy.
Yes.
Right.
She says that sounds cool.
You did, that sounds cool as long as they're wealthy.
It's a lucrative opportunity, Jenny. Attending to wealthy men in need of a little company.
That sounds cool, as long as you're wealthy.
Jenny, your attitude will take you far in this life.
Yeah, she took to that job no problem.
Well, it was very clever of Audrey to steal the unicorn and be like, oh, did he give you one of these? And
Her instincts are just top notch.
yeah, she's killing it.
She should start her own like PI firm or something.
Yeah, I know.
Every
time I think of
happens
Audrey,
for
it's so
Audrey,
sad.
yeah.
Spoiler alert, I don't remember what happens to Audrey.
It's not really explained exactly, but I have a theory.
Okay, because it's been
Look good.
5 years since I've rewatched it, so there's like little things
So
that
you
I
didn't watch The Return, then?
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like I watched it as it aired, and even that was like 4 years ago now, I feel. I've only seen The Return all the way through one, so I guess I haven't seen the whole show multiple times. But yeah, I want to rewatch, because even though David Lynch was like, you gotta watch it like one episode a week, I was like, I want to binge watch it. I want to get 2-3 episodes in at a time. Once a week wasn't satisfying to me. It didn't connect week to week for me. And it was so much Dougie. So much Dougie.
You don't like Dougie?
Never, no, Dougie. Oh my gosh.
Well, I've put a stake in one of the Return episodes as well, so I'll definitely be back for that.
Yes.
I love the way that she gets the phone number.
So did Battis get you a dress?
Yeah, he did.
Got mine yesterday. I'm going to be working hostess this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Get one of these, too?
Yeah, what am I going to do with the horned horse?
Ditto, I bet he's got cartons of them.
He probably does.
God, Jenny, I did a really dumb thing. I lost that number that he gave me for Black Rose. Do you have it?
Yeah, I got it.
I know, and I feel like for 1 second, Jenny doesn't believe her.
She has, yeah.
And then she
has
like
that
looks in her
hesitation.
beautiful eyes and is like, oh, you couldn't be lying to me.
Sure, yeah.
And I also feel like the way Jenny walks away is like for Audrey. I don't know.
Oh, a
maybe
little
I'm
bit.
projecting, but, like,
Sashay.
Yeah, little
Back
wiggle
on
in her
that
walk,
line.
yeah. Audrey's street smart. I appreciate it. She knows how to get what she wants. I did have a question. Do you think Audrey would be trying to solve this mystery herself if Coop wasn't in town? Part of me kind of feels like she's doing it to impress him.
She's definitely doing it to impress him.
I was kind of thinking that. I was just like, if Coop wasn't around, would she be going through all this? But I think it's because she's trying to outshine him a little bit and impress him.
She wants to help because she wants him to be like, you really helped. We
And-
needed you.
And if I have to use my sexuality to solve this mystery, then so be it.
Yeah. And I hope you asked me how I solved this mystery. All she's doing is pulling pranks at the hotel until she meets Coop. And
yeah.
then she's like, oh, now I have a project.
Yeah, but you know, that's how creative people are. They just are chaos agents until they have something that piques their interest,
Right.
and then they can devote all their resources to it.
Clearly she was like squabbling her talents and energy on tormenting Julie the concierge.
Right.
She's
Getting the
desperate.
Norwegians to run back home. Yeah.
I know. It makes me really sad to think about like later in season 2 when she meets Denise. And she's like, they're women agents. Like, she's so excited about that idea. In another universe, Audrey became an FBI agent. Anywho, let's see. She looks through Emery's book and sees Ronette's name among a lot of names. Ronette has the most hearts. I only caught a couple of the names. Barb was one, and Lori with an I.
Oh, interesting.
The double R, Hank, is sort of sneakily grilling Shelley, transparent sucking up of like, all the people back home seem like friends to you and you're in jail. And she's kind of placating him. That must have been real hard on you.
Oh, that's when Harry and Coop walk in.
Yes.
And they're like, Harry, I'm going to teach you a lesson. You got to treat yourself every day.
Harry, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Every day, once a day, give yourself a present. Don't plan it. Don't wait for it. Just let it happen. It could be a new shirt at the men's store, a cat nap in your office chair, or 2 cups of good, hot, black coffee. Like this.
A present. Like Christmas.
That is one of the most famous and most quoted, I think.
Yeah, that's a really...
Is it really?
Like, actually, even on
Every day give yourself a
KEXP,
present.
like, John in the Morning likes to play that.
Oh.
KEXP, and it's, like, heavily memed, and...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, everyone loves that. It's almost like a Bed Bath & Beyond sign wisdom.
Yeah.
Except the delivery mechanism is a little bit more desirable.
Before that, I mean, I hate Hank, but I do like that he is not really intimidated by Harry.
Yeah.
That means that your case officer will visit once a week, Fridays. You miss a visit, go to jail. Got it?
Thanks for the reminder, Sheriff. Stop in any time.
And I also wonder, like, I don't know why, but Coop always seems very enamored with Harry. I don't see what he sees in him. But when Harry turns, he's like, do you think people change? I don't. And, like, Coop doesn't answer him, but I feel like for a second, like, he looks a little disappointed in Harry.
Yeah.
That's such a limited world.
I think Coop likes Harry for the same reason he likes the coffee and the pie. There's just something about it that is indicative of good-natured small-town Americana. And, like, Harry... Well, he's not as pure as Coop. He is the small-town sheriff, and he's doing the job the best he can. And I think Coop admires that.
He does it so badly, though. It's like, oh, it's a picture of the bird.
I feel like Harry must make your LVP list quite a bit.
We've each picked him once at least.
Yeah.
I mean, this is only episode 6.
Also, Harry,
only
a
episode
present.
6.
Like Christmas.
Yeah, that's what a present is. Like,
also, other gift-giving occasions.
right. You know, like Christmas.
Your birthday.
That's the only context I understand a present in.
Because he's a child. He's got the mind of a child. It's a bird. It's Christmas.
This is a rough Harry episode.
Let me know when there's one that's not.
But no, this one's especially.
Yeah. At the Hurley residence, Nadine is watching Invitation to Love and eating bonbons.
Tune in tomorrow for Invitation to Love.
And I'm eating bonbons.
There's a bowling trophy on the TV. Whose bowling trophy do you think that is?
I feel like it's gotta be Nadine.
Yeah.
She's
sporty.
I was going to say, it wasn't this episode where she's on the rowing machine, and it shows her, like, bending it.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten that they, like, kind of foreshadowed her superhuman strength so early.
Right. I think that it was the coma, but it was always there.
Yeah. It wasn't this episode, but I was like, when Nadine was on that rowing machine, I was like, she stays fit. She's trying to make it work. Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for Nadine.
Her fixation on the drape rollers or whatever is a little disconcerting, but...
I feel like she has this idea. She's an entrepreneur kind of. Like
she's working on it.
Yeah,
Also,
I respect it.
Maybe a glass eye?
You know, this is the thing too, is that I'm not a fan of Ed, so I'm just always going to land towards Nadine. In fact, this scene frustrates me because I feel like Ed's being cool. Why is Ed being cool? Because I usually do not like Ed at all. I love that Nadine was going to buy a motorboat. Like, that's one of her dreams.
That was going to be their new lifestyle.
A TV and a motorboat.
They do need a new TV. It reminds me of my grandparents' basement TV. That was like the one that they bought in like the 70s or something.
Right.
Like,
that's your second TV. That's not your main television.
yeah, the thing was like carved from wood.
Ed is really cool. I like when he says don't give up.
Don't you dare give up.
Although patent lawyers are very expensive.
Oh, really? Even seeing them?
I don't know all the ins and outs, but like patent lawyers are one of, if not the most highly compensated lawyer professions. Patent, trademark, copyright lawyers, they all make bank, but it's also because like I hear their job's like super hard. I don't know if they work on retainer or something like that, but I don't know if I just bounce around from patent lawyer to patent lawyer. They like routinely make $400,000 a year for non-specialty clients. Yeah, so I was just like...
I would not have had otherwise. Yikes. Well, I guess she should maybe not give up, but like take a break. At the Blue Pine Lodge, Pete is showing off his newest fishing trophy to
Love it.
From Tim and Tom's Taxidermy. The way that Pete works his way through that line is everything.
I just got that baby back from Tim and Tom's Taxidermy. But when I caught him, he was this big. But I guess by the time they take the innards out and put the stuffing in, it loses something in the translation.
Yeah, well, Pete, it's still a fine-looking trophy, no matter what the size.
Yeah, well, size isn't everything, I guess.
He's only got like the one line in the whole episode, but he gets his pay out of it.
Yeah, he really does.
Even the subtitles like emphasize the size.
I guess size isn't everything.
I didn't realize up until familiarizing myself with Twin Peaks, Jack Nance was married to the log lady.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. It's also like kind of like warms my heart a little bit.
They were just kids making movies.
They really were.
That's really sweet. Josie is manipulating the fuck out of Harry while he questions why she was at the Timber Falls Motel.
Were you at that hotel?
What were you doing at the Timber Falls Motel Tuesday?
Oh, Tuesday I was at the mill.
Hawk saw you. I know you were there.
Oh, Harry.
Can I do that in arbitration?
Definitely. I definitely have a like fake tear planted on your eye, which is there for the beginning of this scene.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that
like,
Joan Chen could cry.
I know. It's like, oh, Harry's coming.
And then she has her purse ready with the pictures in it. Oh my god. But Harry is so dumb. She knows her audience. She knows that she does not have to work very hard to convince him. Coop's like, how well do you know this woman? He's like, I know I love her, and that's all I need to know.
I know,
It would be helpful to know some more things than that.
Like, I feel like Coop understands the situation. Like, when Coop is like, that's all I need to know, part of me is like, Coop is saying this so that they can, like, move on from the topic.
You're probably right.
Like...
He's like, we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, Harry is a little dumb, isn't he? He's earnest, though. Like, nothing about Harry reads as corrupt or anything. So it's like, I think Coop values it like, this is someone who I can trust unequivocally, maybe. Information I get from him is probably pure. Because, I mean, Harry has always got information. It's like, oh, Catherine and Ben Horn have been having this affair for years. You know, everyone knows about it, nobody talks about it situation.
Right. I don't like that he has known about it all this time and didn't tell Josie. He just let Josie find out and tell him. I mean,
That is a little
that's pretty
shady.
questionable.
Yeah.
Well, also that he never told her when it is kind of relevant for her.
Yeah. You mean like when they're planning to kill her, potentially?
Right.
I mean, Harry seems to have the skinny on, like, all the affairs in town. He's a good resource for Cooper. And, yeah, I think it's, partly good resource and incorruptible a little bit. Harry's not going to betray Coop. So, you know, I can kind of see something admirable in that. I'm not selling the crowd here.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
making a
think
good
you're
sales
right
pitch.
that he can trust him, though.
Yeah.
He can trust him as, in terms of, like, he won't be betrayed by Harry, but he can't necessarily trust Harry as, like...
His judgment
maybe.
isn't.
Yeah, his judgment is
Not
kind of questionable.
at all. You know, anything.
That's true. He knows about One-Eye Jacks, but it's after Audrey already has set that note.
Right.
So it's like, oh, yeah, that's the same thing. Okay. Audrey's early clue was validated.
Yeah, you gotta, like, kind of pry it out of Harry a little bit.
Oh my god.
We must be nearing the life insurance scene.
We're getting close.
Mr. Neff.
But first, at the Great Northern, Coop meets Harry and Ed in the lobby, and he looks amazing in his suit.
Oh, yeah.
Harry is practically speechless. He says, well now.
Well, now. Evening, Harry. Ed, you all set? Is that what you're wearing? It's pretty spiffy, Cooper. Do you like to gamble, Ed?
Well, I went to Reno once, but I never felt too lucky.
Well, you're gonna be lucky tonight.
And I love that both Harry and Ed kind of like look him up and down.
I was gonna say, was this the really sexual scene?
Yeah, it's smoking.
It's a lot of like homoeroticism this episode, like because with Audrey and Jenny, and then later Audrey and Blackie, and then that scene.
Yeah, love it.
You don't get hoye.
It's like, I'm never very lucky, and Coop's like, well, you're gonna be lucky tonight.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yeah. Coop is so excited to gamble.
Oh my God, he loves gambling. I mean, I guess when you're as good at it as he is.
Right, because he's a little bit psychic, like he's going to be a good gambler.
It's a good time for him, because he's not going to lose.
I mean, it also shows that, like, Coop must be the most moral person ever, because, like, if you could go into a casino with $10,000 and get 10 to 15% return, it's just like, that's your job.
Yeah.
If I could do that, that would be my job. I'd be a professional gambler. Yeah. And the fact that he's excited to do it, but this is just like a little outing for him.
Yeah.
So I chose this episode because I like all the episodes surrounding One-Eyed Jacks a little bit, but in classic Matt fashion, I overthought everything. And I was like, when Jessica asked, it was like, oh yeah, you know, pick some episodes. I was like, I can't pick the pilot because that's too big. I can't put my flag in that one. I was like, and I can't do either the first or last episodes of any season. It wouldn't feel appropriate for me to pick those things, but I can pick next to last episodes. And so, like, that's why I chose this one. I was like, I want one with One-Eyed Jacks, 'cause I like those episodes. And I think the episode right after this is a better episode than this. But, like, this is all leading up to it. Usually table setting is boring, but, like, the table setting in this is so good. Everything leading up to it is just so much fun. And it ends on a good note. When it ended, I was just like, I want more.
And in fact, when we pre-watched this, I just let it play. I was like, I don't want to stop. This is the terrible stuff we play.
Yeah.
And I watched like half of the next episode before I fell asleep.
This is jumping ahead, but it's not even like a classic cliffhanger. It just stops as if you're halfway into a movie. These two episodes play really well back to back.
They do. Does it start where we left off, pretty much?
I think so, yeah.
We already talked about this a little bit with Harry wanting to talk to Coop alone. Unfortunately, it's not sexy talk. He wants to talk about Josie. Then they talk about their cover at the casino. High rollers from the Tri-Cities.
Oral surgeons. Just...
Why?
Big spenders vacationing among the furs. I love that he's like, I gotta name drop the furs again. And then they leave and Audrey enters the lobby looking for Coop. And I feel like Audrey's whole thing is missing men in the lobby. The whole Jack thing is so frustrating later on. Back at the Blue Pine Lodge, an insurance agent is having Catherine sign her new life insurance policy.
We haven't seen Piper Laurie in this episode yet. This is like her introduction. And I'm a fan of this scene.
This has a lot going
it's
on.
Loaded.
Yeah.
For me, I was so excited because Mr. Neff is the name of the character in Double Indemnity.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's the whole plot. You know, that he's the insurance man. You know, it's like that the exact plot.
Oh my
when she calls
God.
Him Mr. Neff.
Woo.
Excellent.
Like, he's like this Billy Wilder super fan.
One of his favorite movies is Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, his character in Twin Peaks, Gordon Cole, is a character in
Yes. Rumor has it that David Lynch used to do double features at his home of Sunset Boulevard and Eraserhead.
Nice.
Wow.
So I don't see the connection between the two myself. Piper Laurie, I think, kind of knocks it out of the park with her steely glare a little bit when she's like catching wind of this.
Yeah.
This was handled without our actually meeting each other, and I'd almost forgotten.
To be perfectly honest with you, Mrs. Martell, I withheld that last page myself.
Did you?
I have to admit, I thought it a little unusual. Life insurance and client is too busy to be involved. I mean, you did know about this policy, didn't you?
Are you suggesting that there's something irregular at work here?
I certainly never got that idea from Mrs. Packard, no. Or from Mr. Horn, for that matter, either. When he offered to collect your signatures, I thought it was fine. Just with the new account, I like to be certain to cross every T. Right here, please.
You know, I'm noticing there are some minor changes that I asked my attorney to make that are not included in this draft. I think what I'd like to do is go over this with him on the phone in the morning and initial the changes and get the completed documents to you at that time.
If there's anything that I can do to help you with the policy or anything at all.
Are you an ambitious man, Mr. Neff?
One likes to think so.
One never knows. There may be a few T's left to cross.
Can you take out a life insurance policy on somebody else without them being involved at all?
The guy said other people were going to take care of the signatures.
Yeah, he says Ben offered to collect your signatures.
Right.
It seemed on the up and up, but I just wanted to make sure. I'm like, why did
It's
that
a little
seem on the up and up?
Yeah.
Why would Josie be a beneficiary in her life insurance?
Yeah.
That's-
For
Good-
like $1
good
million.
on you, Mr. Neff,
I
because
know. That's a stinky life insurance
That
policy.
is, yeah.
I love that that's from Double Indemnity. That's perfect for the scene.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly
Yeah, it's
what
this
this...
life insurance policy on someone because
That,
you're going to kill them.
that's the Easter egg that this scene calls for, because if you've never seen Double Indemnity, it doesn't matter. But if you have seen it or you recognize it, like, it just enriches that scene so much. Oh, that's awesome.
That's what I wrote when I was watching Mr. Neff.
Wow!
in the movie, he says,
Triple underline.
He says 2 F's, like in Philadelphia, if you know the story.
Oh.
That story. It's Philadelphia story.
Is there like a reference when he's like, if there's anything I can do at all with the policy or anything else, is that like Double Indemnity or is that just Mr. Neff being a thirsty bitch?
Are you an ambitious man, Mr. Neff? I don't know.
It's like a flip-flop, because in the movie, Mr. Neff is the insurance guy, and he and the wife cook up this plot to take a...
So you think
life
Ben Horn
insurance-
is banging Mr. Neff?
Well, I'm just saying they do a reverse. They're having an affair. There's a life insurance policy on her husband, so they're going to kill him, and they're going to kill him by pushing him off a train because that's the double indemnity. If you die in a train accident, it pays double for some reason.
They put these like bell and whistle clauses
Yes.
in to like help sell these
Yeah.
policies.
And- but what happens is that they take this policy out on him, and then like a couple weeks later or something, like he has an accident, he breaks his leg, but they still manage to get him on the train a week later, and they push him off the train. And that's how Edward G. Robinson figures out that what's fishy here is that this man had this insurance policy on himself but didn't file a claim when he broke his leg.
In the movie, it's so good because it's like,
Okay.
like he breaks his leg and like we, the audience, like don't even question it. And it's not until several scenes later that someone's like, he broke his leg and he had this hefty insurance policy. Like, why didn't he file a claim? And it's like, oh yeah, why didn't he? Billy Wilder has a saying is like, you know, nuance is everything so long as you beat them over the head with it.
That's amazing.
That's one of those scenes. It's like, oh yeah, we all should have gotten that way earlier in the movie.
Right, because I think it's like a little red hair, because it's like him breaking his leg is significant because then they think he might not take his trip, he might not end up on the train, and that's
So
like
you're thinking that's what
that's
it
what
means.
it's that it's an obstacle for them to still get him to take the trip and get on the train so he can push him off the train, and then it ends up being what ruins it for them because he didn't file a claim.
That's so much fun.
A few T's left to cross is a good line.
Yes. I know, and he does the in the air.
Yeah.
And I also really love that she's so cool in that scene until
yes.
until he leaves, and then she just immediately loses her composure. That's just super top-notch acting.
Yeah,
by Piper Laurie.
they really play off each other so well.
Other than this and Carrie, I can't think of any other Piper Laurie movies. What else has she been in?
I'm sure she's been in other stuff.
Those are like the two main things.
In Carrie, of course, like that's a powerhouse performance, but like of a totally different brand. I was just like, she's really good. Why haven't I like seen her in more stuff?
I wonder that too.
Does she do a lot of TV movies?
Maybe.
She's got a little bit of a flair for the melodrama.
Mm-hmm.
She might have just been someone that people didn't know what to do with, you know, like just kind of a character actress.
Mm-hmm. And there weren't that many roles for sort of middle-aged women back then.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
slightly more now, but there's no Mayor of Easttown for Piper. I love the shot of Audrey slipping the note under Coop's door. It's just such a great shot. Starting on the saddle shoes with her leaning over.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way it pans up, she's just so cute with touching the door longingly. That's one of those moments that's like, she still is a little girl,
she's
you
so
know?
crushed now, yeah.
She's majorly crushing. Obviously, no judgment. At the station house, Coop has his big briefcase with disguises.
For some reason.
My husband really loves the line, you think it'll fit, I got a big head.
There's a curly-haired wig in there. Ed is going to work like gangbusters. And I'll help you out with one of those mustaches.
You think it'll fit? I got a big head.
Why does he need a wig? Who knows? They strap on some wires. While this is going on, Waldo is alone in the conference room, and they hear a gunshot. I think it's a good moment. I was really noticing anytime they're rewinding stuff, and like that's another motif is just stuff on tapes.
Yes.
I love how when Coop rewinds, he doesn't just magically get to the right spot.
He has to search around. He gets to that spot where like Lucy's trying to feed Waldo an orange. Well, share an orange.
Yeah.
Birdie, want some orange? Come on, let's share.
And at first he doesn't go back far enough, like he just goes back a little ways. I really like that. And then the only reason that James is able to get to the right place is because he went all the way to the beginning. Yeah. Waldo said a lot of stuff.
Hello, Waldo. Laura? Laura? Don't go there. Hurting me. Hurting me. Stop it! Leo, no! Leo, no!
Earlier in the episode, Leo's about to kill Bobby, and then hears the thing about Waldo and drives away. And then it seems like it's so much later.
Yeah, like it feels like he's like gonna shoot Bobby in the morning because like Shelly's like just out of the shower, like she's wearing a bathrobe. This looks very much at night.
It's like
Which
pouring rain now.
it could be like the only time that he could, I don't know, maybe see clearly into the window or that.
If people were in and out.
Yeah, if Lucy was like trying to feed the bird all day or something.
Right,
like
that makes sense.
Who knows how long he was waiting for
I guess he was waiting for
But yeah,
his
like
moment, I guess.
him almost shooting Bobby does definitely seem like first thing in the morning. This
Yeah.
seems very much at night.
Or even if it's that afternoon, it's definitely like some hours later.
It's fully night at that point and rainy.
He just never goes to work.
Now he has another car. Like, what is this pickup truck that he has?
Yeah.
So he has like the red sports car in his truck.
And his rig, yeah.
Yeah. He also has this beige pickup that he's driving in this episode.
Also,
it's all
like
cocaine money, I guess.
well, it has a nice effect. Like when Waldo gets shot, like there's blood on the donuts. Why are you leaving all these donuts under a bird cage?
Or this is some major donut crime. It
has been discussed why they leave all these donuts out every night.
Yeah.
Uncovered.
And
like-
the coffee pot was there too. Like, why are you making coffee?
Also,
the
like,
night before.
Have any of you owned birds? They're really messy. And there's feathers. They molt. The immediate area around a bird cage is perpetually messy. Why would you put all these donuts right under a bird cage?
Yeah.
They would all be ruined.
And they definitely are.
Yeah.
Blood and feathers on them.
What a waste.
It was sad, though. I'm always sensitive to animal deaths in movies. I felt this more than I would if Harry died.
Yeah, same.
Oh my god, yeah, right?
It's a bigger loss.
Yeah, Waldo is providing evidence.
That's our Waldo. Waldo says, Laura, don't go there. It's hurting me. Stop it. Leo, no. Definitely the smoking bird call.
Yeah.
And then I love that they hear all that and they're like, okay, let's still go to the casino. Like, we
Let's
could probably
gamble.
arrest Leo right now, but let's not. Let's do it later.
But I like that. I also feel like Coop looks troubled by what Waldo's saying.
Yeah. Especially since that bird's voice is very creepy.
It's so creepy.
Oh, yeah.
The playful lilt too.
Yeah.
Like, such a terrifying thing.
Is that what that bird would really sound like? I mean, obviously that's an actor doing
It's not a bird.
pretending, but is that kind of what it would sound like?
I don't know. That bird kind of sounds like David Lynch. I could see him sitting in front of a mynah bird teaching it these lines.
That's true. It is a real mynah bird. isn't it?
Yeah, I have no idea. I could have put a toucan in there. I'd never know.
They go to the casino. One-Eyed Jacks are immediately greeted by Blackie.
Who, like, accurately sniffs out Big Ed.
Evening, fellas. They call me Blackie.
Glad to know you, Blackie. I like your style.
Most do. You look like a cop.
I'm the cop.
You look like Cary Grant.
That fucking rug and horrible mustache.
The obvious disguise.
Right.
Is that what makes him look like a cop?
Did you go to the seasonal Halloween store and get undercover cop costume? Like, give me a break.
Oh my god. And then there's whole like, I own a gas station. Just kidding, I'm a dentist. Like, okay, yeah, whatever, dude.
Barney and Fred, just in from the Tri-Cities.
Well, Fred, what's your line?
Own a gas station. I'm an oral surgeon.
Oh, I got a Chevy parked out back with a serious root canal problem. You want to take a look?
Well, I was hoping you might need a little gum work, because I'd sure like to get a look under your hood.
Fred's okay.
Fred's a prince.
And his improv, like the whole under your hood, gum work, I was like, this is the worst.
Gums under the hood.
I know. Which hole are we talking about? I'm so confused.
I want to check and see if you have some gingivitis. It was just terrible.
Her line is funny because she's like making fun of him.
Yeah.
And then
And
he's
then
like
he-
trying to make it sexy.
He
and
thinks
it's
that
like,
she's trying to like do a
"I'd
sexy
sure like
riff.
to
Yeah.
Look under your hood. Ew.
And then Coop is like, not bad, Ed, not bad. Like, that was the worst.
So what? Yeah.
The whole jig may have been up at this moment.
Why give him that kind of encouragement if you really want him to be helpful at all in this operation? Listen, asshole, you almost got us made back there. He probably did, but Blackie doesn't care. At the Palmer house, Maddie's sneaking out as Leland sits creepily in the living room in the dark.
I think he is looking messy, though.
I don't think
I
so.
wrote down messy or not the first time, but then I circled messy because he's a little teary. This is our thing. Is if
I was gonna say-
he's messy, he's Leland, and if he's neat, it's Bob.
Oh, really?
It's questionable whether he's neat or messy because you can't really see him that well.
What his face reminds me of is in Fire Walk with Me when Laura leaves and he does that glare out the window that like is always memed.
Right.
That's what that face looks like to me, and that's definitely Bob's face.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like Bob just popped in there after
Yeah.
Leland was sitting in the dark for a while. I don't know.
I couldn't tell if he was messy or neat. I landed on messy, but I believe you.
Well, because
he was neat.
at the end of the episode, he's the one that's in the bushes.
Oh, right.
And he's the one who knocks Jacoby over the head in the beginning of the next one. He's definitely up to no good. The jury's still out on how much Leland is aware of what Bob is doing.
Well, yeah, is that ever really fully fleshed out?
It seems like he doesn't know. Like, he's trying to convince them he doesn't know, at
Okay.
least, but I don't know if he does or not.
All right, yeah. It's sort of one of those things that I'm eager to explore on this
Yeah.
rewatch, because, yeah, it's been like 5 years since my last watch.
There's definitely deep denial in this town, like, from everybody, so.
Sure.
He might just be operating on that level of super deep denial. Like, that was not me, that was someone else. At the Great Northern, Jerry and Ben are talking about the Icelandic investors and sharing a gallon of
Ice cream.
Wow.
Well, it's like they're doing some like Icelandic version of 99 bottles of beer.
Right.
You simply have got to teach me some of these incredible songs.
And he's like, you gotta teach
You gotta teach me these great songs. I'm like, oh god.
Not know this song?
I know that there's like schmoozing with investments in
Yeah.
business, but like, come on.
He's kind of a big pander guy. He loves to
Yeah.
do that kind of thing.
It's a schmoozer.
The big schmoozer, yeah. And Jerry is inexplicably holding a giant pine cone for part of the scene.
Yeah.
Jerry suggests a trip to One-Eye Jack's. So everybody's headed to One-Eye Jack's. But before he goes, Ben calls Josie and wants to make sure that Catherine will be at the mill tonight. When it burns down, obviously. Hank is there.
Yeah. Which I don't think is explained quite yet.
not.
Yeah.
I mean, I barely understand this whole triple, quadruple cross thing that's happening. It's just everyone's screwing over everyone, but...
Right.
Not that there's not good intrigue to corporate espionage, but part of me only thinks that like David Lynch put in the mill is because of like his fascination with industrial things. When you look at some of the music, especially like the music videos that he's made of his own music, it's always half industrial sounds with just like animations of hammers falling or something.
Yeah.
And like in Eraserhead, it's an industrial wasteland that they live in. And the opening credits for Twin Peaks is heavy on stuff in the mill, like
Yeah.
the saw blades and stuff like that. I was like, I think that David Lynch just kind of has like a fascination with mills. He's like, oh, this will be a leeway to do business espionage. Everything surrounding the mill has got to be the most confusing aspect.
Yeah, he barely cares about it, so he just kind of is like, it doesn't matter what happens, really. As long
Yeah.
as you know that everyone's betraying everyone.
Yeah.
The thing that's most confusing for me in that scene is that, like, Hank is wearing a jacket and he takes it off at the end of the scene.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on there?
Like he's gonna stay?
That's
Yeah.
suggestible, yeah.
Huh.
Josie's just doing everybody. No judgment if she wants to be doing that, but Hank doesn't seem like very much fun. I know, she does. I guess if you like Harry, then you're going to be into Hank too. Almost exactly like.
Right, it's practically the same name.
Generic late 80s, early 90s dude. Yeah.
Back at One Eyed Jack's, Audrey is having her interview with Blackie.
Hester Prynne. Pretty name. Maple House in Vancouver. Boys in Chicago. Calgary Stampede, 87 through 89. Where'd you work in Calgary, darling?
The Lost Dude Ranch.
Big Amos still running things out there?
Bigger and better.
Big Amos is the name of my dog. I read The Scarlet Letter in high school just like you did. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't airmail your bottom back to civilization.
Does Audrey think that the Scarlet Letter is an obscure thing that nobody else would know?
Even an illiterate like me, I was like, that's from the Scarlet Letter. Yeah, Hester Prynne, and then the rest of the stuff's not necessarily references, but she tries to...
She makes up her resume.
Big Amos or something.
Well, Blackie says Big Amos.
Yeah, but she's like, is Big Amos still running things out there? And she's like, bigger and better. And I would have just said like, no, Andy Taylor's running things now. Like, just make something up.
Although that reminds me of something earlier that I wanted to mention, which is that Coop and Ed's cover names are Fred and Barney.
Yeah, come on.
Like, why don't you try a little bit?
My only explanation for that is like Blackie must be used to people not wanting to be identified by their real names in their establishment. So she must just be like, okay, all right, well, I don't care. Yeah.
Right now. Why would you name your dog Big Amos?
I also feel like running a brothel, it seems like it would take up a lot of time. Would you have time to commit to a dog?
Where is this dog?
Yeah.
I know. Where's your dog right now, Blackie?
Yeah, she's obviously working nights.
Seems like you live there, maybe?
Yeah. And the costumes that those poor ladies have to wear, just the deck of cards themed costumes. I'm like, that's worse than the Sex with the Strangers.
It's a lot of bells and whistles.
They seem uncomfortable. A lot of pokey parts.
Yeah. But Audrey looks amazing in her sex dress.
I know, they give her like a special outfit to wear after she gets hired, because even though Blackie knows that she's lying about everything, she can tie a cherry stem in a knot.
Can any of y'all do that?
I have done it, but I have also failed.
I was gonna say, like, under pressure, Audrey's got some practice.
That's for whatever moves, obviously.
Yeah.
And I can do it, like, because I have, like, a little gap here, so it's like, can I hook the stem in there and anchor it that way? I have done it, but the last time I tried to do it, which was a really long time ago, I couldn't do it. Have you ever tried to do it? Have you ever done it?
I've definitely tried to do it and not done it. My friend Faye can do it.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm not nearly orally talented enough to do that.
Well, so that's what I was thinking. I was like, what's the implication of this? Because it seems like it'd be more desirable for like a woman oral sex.
Yeah.
Than, I
think anybody apprecites some tongue work.
Yeah. But the knot specifically,
I feel like it's just like in Clueless, like drawing attention to your mouth is good.
Always good, yeah.
I think she almost kind of makes a silly face, like as much as Audrey, the most beautiful woman in the world, could make a silly face. She looks a little silly.
I think it is just, this is Audrey as flying on her instincts this episode, and she's just like, alright, I'm just gonna do this, it's gonna be sexy, and you're gonna be like, sold. Okay, she made up stuff on her resume. Is that really what's relevant to work at One Eyed Jack?
Yeah.
And I think it's
they're already hiring underage girls. Like, what's
right? I mean, I think she's just like, well, why should you hire me here? Like, because look, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's totally bold for her to like pull the cherry out of someone else's drink.
Yeah, with her fingers in the
Yeah.
Oh, God,
And I was like, that's a bold move, but like she's swinging for the fences here. I appreciate it. And it's what got her the job.
Yeah, sign here.
Yeah, sign here. Please put all your pertinent government info on this document.
Social security number. I hope you brought 2 forms of identification that we can photocopy. We'll get our admin on this.
Like, what is she signing? Is it sign here? You
Do you
don't have
wanna-
to look at it or fill anything out.
After 3 months, we have a pension plan.
You'll start taking union dues after 5 weeks.
Elsewhere in the casino, Jacques is dealing blackjack, and Coop is doing great.
Because he's psychic.
Yeah.
21 again. Another winner. How'd you do?
Do I have to pay back?
I will take it out of my winnings.
That's really the only way, because I know that you can be good at blackjack, but like blackjack's just numbers. There's no bluffing, there's no reading or like looking for tells with other players. You're just playing against like the dealer. The dealer has very strict rules that they have to abide by when dealing. The only way that I feel like you could be really good at blackjack is if you were psychic a little bit.
Literally know what the next card is not going to put you over when you have like 18.
Yeah. Coop has like 3 cards or something. It's like the 4th card is what gets him 21. In blackjack, like that's too many cards to have. Like the chances of you busting is just overwhelming. So
he needed a small card, and there was at least 2 small cards already. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Later on, they like accuse him of, not in this episode, but I think further escapades at one-eye jacks. They're like, you're counting cards.
And I mean, honestly,
cheating.
The only way Coop could know that Harry's in love with Josie and that Big Ed is seeing Norma. Like,
he says it's body language.
He says it's body. It's gotta be something else, though. Like, he's just too good.
We're at Jacoby's place. Watching Invitation to Love.
Now, do you think he records Invitation to Love? Because isn't it on during the day? And
He pulls up My Grandmother and watches it after work.
I think he is watching a tape.
Yeah, he must be.
So many tapes in this episode.
Yeah.
Boy, Jacoby. You look at him and you're like, well, obviously he's David Cross's father and not Amber Tamblin's father.
That's really funny.
Like,
and also that she married her dad.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Issues. Jesus, I never put that together before.
But yeah, he's just casually watching TV in a Hawaiian tie and 3D glass. Well, I don't know if they're 3D, but they are blue and red like those old 3D glasses were.
Special glasses for using both sides of his brain. It's like brain optimization lenses. That's his thing.
You know, brain optimization.
Yeah, to watch Invitational Love.
Right.
You gotta use your whole brain for that.
I'd roll my eyes, but my ophthalmologist says if I do that anymore, my eyes will spasm, so.
Yeah, he's got a fruity drink. Fruit is another motif, by the way.
Yeah, he's got like a full like pineapple umbrella drink going on. This rewatch has really emphasized how much of a creeper Jacoby is. I had never noticed it before, but like especially in the pilot, I was like, oh God, was he having sex with her? It never hit me as much as it did this time. Previously, I just thought that he was in love with her, but it's like this time around, I was like, oh, he might actually be having sex with her.
I don't think that they are having sex, but I think he's definitely like expressed an interest and she's turned him down.
As the show has gone on, the sex thoughts have dwindled, but definitely lustful, and she has led him on, perhaps purposefully. He's gotten a little less creepy as the show's gone on, but like in the pilot, I was like, oh God. He's not even hiding this.
Yeah.
Here it's like, okay, I'm starting to think that they never actually did anything, thankfully, because that'd be worse than Coop and Audrey getting together.
Yeah, I think she just enjoyed talking to him.
Have you all talked about how busy Laura Palmer must be as a human?
Yeah, a lot.
Like,
so busy. Like, I know, when did she go to therapy?
Yeah, it's like she goes to therapy, she's tutoring the horn boy, she tutors Josie in English, she organizes the Meals on Wheels, full-time student, works the perfume counter. I'm like, oh my God.
Home for dinner every night with Daddy.
And we're only like 6 episodes in, and it's like every episode like introduces another facet of her life. I'm like, wow, she kept busy.
Yeah. Trying to keep that devil away.
Yeah, she was running from stuff.
It's pretty funny that Jacoby answers the phone, aloha.
Aloha.
Maddie calls us Laura. What's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc? I feel like I'm in a dream tonight. Big bad one.
Do you know? The kind you like?
Who is this?
Who do you think it is, silly?
Jacoby grabs a pistol out of his top drawer.
Right.
I love that it's so easily accessible.
So many people have guns in this show.
I mean, I guess that tracks for
Sure.
Washington. He goes to the door to find a VHS tape at Maddie's urging. It's in a brown paper envelope. I really got some, like, Lost Highway recall there. I was like, oh, the VHS tape in the envelope.
Totally.
And then she asked him to meet her at Sparkwood and 21, which was obviously James' idea because it's his favorite intersection. He's obsessed with Sparkwood and 21. He mentions it as the light.
Okay.
But he's always like, you know, the light at Sparkwood and 21. You mean the light? Yeah, we know.
Also, who calls a street 21 and not like 21st? Right?
Fucking James.
Right.
He loves to say Sparkwood and 21. But instead, Jacoby sees that she's at the gazebo and says out loud, gazebo. And decides to go there instead. So James and Donna, who's wearing a really funny, like, espionage cap, by the way. I love her, like, sneaky baseball cap. No one's gonna recognize me in this. Head off to Jacoby's, and Maddie waits around, and Bobby's watching through the bushes. But he's there to follow James and Donna. I think Bobby's actually doing like kind of an amazing job sneaking around in this episode. Like, uncharacteristically Bobby to be sneaky.
He, like, puts a bunch of drugs in the gas tank?
Yeah.
I don't know enough about motorcycles. I was just like, I don't think that'd be good for the motorcycle.
Hope he double bagged it. Yeah, I think it's not good for the cocaine either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess he's like, it's a sacrifice.
Right.
If it breaks down.
It's like, let's just see what happens.
Boy, I feel like that was like $5,000 versus coke to break someone's motorcycle.
Well, he's not trying to break it. He's going to set him up. He
Okay.
later puts in an anonymous tip about
Oh, okay.
get it busted for the trafficking. Which I like that he's not going to kill James, really. He's going to just
Ruin his life. And James is a nothing anyway. His life can be ruined.
It's fine. What's he going to do? When he's free, he doesn't exactly use his freedom for anything helpful. But someone is sneakier, and they are watching Bobby. And it's Leland. We don't know that yet.
I forgot it was Leland. Even though I have just watched the other episode not that long ago, I have already forgotten that.
And so then Bobby does the coke thing, say goodbye, James, and then Bobby's gone, and someone's watching Maddie through the bushes. Still Leland. And that's the end of the episode. Yes. Busy episode.
A lot of motifs. I like that.
Yeah, secrets, swiping things I wrote down, like the swiping of the unicorn, and Hanks steals that later at the Double R. Really nice later. They're definitely going to come back looking for that. And then the fruit.
And also like the view, like
and
the kind of surveillance.
Yeah.
And tapes. I have so
And
many
tapes.
tapes.
Many tapes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Roadhouse is proud to welcome
Awards. Let's start with LVP.
I'll go first. My LVP is Harry. It's been a while since I had Harry's LVP.
I could sense it. I was just like, I know, like...
I never liked Harry, but it was really... I think just for... I'm showing you a picture of the murder victim, who we already know had bird bites on her shoulder. Here's the bird on her shoulder. Oh, look, it's Waldo. Come on. Harry has a lot in this episode that's useless with Harry.
I know. It's a good thing murders didn't happen very often before this, because they're not getting solved.
Yeah.
By Harry, at least.
No. Alright, who's your LVP?
Big Ed's wig. Like, that thing
Just the
was just not doing anybody any favors. And like, I mean, the mustache isn't winning people over either, but just that wig was ridiculous. I could just sniff that rug out a mile away. When Blackie came, I was like, you look like a cop. I was like, rightfully so, Blackie. Rightfully so. I couldn't get over it.
He's not a cop, but he was dressed by cops.
Yeah.
That's a very good choice. I went with just straight up Ed.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because his line about the gum work.
Why was Ed brought with Coop to this?
He's one of the Bookhouse boys.
Okay, I guess that's important enough. I feel like they could have gotten a better wingman for this, or Coop could have just gone alone or something, but...
He could have so easily gone alone. I feel like he's just kind of giving them things to do, like help grandma make dinner, you know?
Right.
I'm not against Ed as, like, a character. It just seems odd that, like, this non-law official was brought along for really something that Coop gets in trouble for later. And I was just like, it just feel odd that, like, he brought not a cop with him on this.
Also, isn't it something like Ed is supposed to give him the stupid sign when
Oh,
Jacques
yeah.
shows up, and Jacques has a name tag that says Jacques.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Kip is already sitting at the table.
Right,
and
and he
just
still
comes right
does
to
this.
him.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
totally
I
like,
know.
right, here's going to be your job.
I've already measured the sugar for you. You just have to put it in the bowl without spilling. I can't do that. Ceiling fan wars.
Ooh. For me, it's Waldo, this sort of sing-song hurting me.
Yeah.
No, that's so good.
I put the same thing. It's not scary like when you see Killer Bob scary, but there's an unnerving aspect to hearing the recording of Waldo. Yes, I put that as the same one.
That would have been my runner-up, but I Leland in the Dark.
That was my runner-up, yeah.
Ray was so good at being so scary. Fish in the percolator.
Aptly, because it is a fish. It just sizes in. His delivery is just amazing.
I put, you're gonna have to teach me these incredible songs. I was just like, oh no. Who's believing that?
Audrey's whole thing at the perfume counter for me.
Oh, yeah.
Wearing it around your neck.
Yeah, 2 statements for the price of 1.
That's really good.
Try this one, it smells like a forest. She could barely disguise her contempt for this job and this woman, Theodora Ridgely. Oh, it's so good.
I think the fish thing spoke to me specifically because that's such a dating app cliche is the guy
Oh,
holding the
right.
fish.
Oh, yeah.
And the trophy, it seems bigger when I caught it.
Yeah.
Is that something you've experienced on dating apps, or is that just like a cis straight?
I think that's a cis straight guy thing. Sports isn't our forte. Unless it's like something that will add to your physique. Like, if they've done a triathlon or something, you'll hear people bragging about that. Even like what you would think would be like really sexual sports like rugby, like people don't generally brag about.
We're really not sure who these fishing pictures are for. We make fun of every single one of them.
Is that a big thing in...
It's such a big... Well, one of my theories is like it might be one of the few times like where that a guy has a picture of himself that he didn't take. You don't want it to be all
It's not a
selfies
selfie,
or
it's like someone else. Yeah, I guess.
Yes, I don't know. I mean, to me, that's an automatic no.
Oh, that's a deal breaker?
I mean,
The rest of it would have to be pretty good
It would have
to
to be
counteract.
Oh, okay. I mean, honestly, I just don't know that many people who fish nowadays. I always figured straight people dating apps, especially like men putting photos up, were just hiking, holding their dog, looking away from the lens. That's how I imagine like all straight male profile pictures.
MVPs.
Oh, I mean, this is Audrey. Audrey just hits it out of the park this episode.
Oh.
She's so hot and she's so clever.
Audrey was my runners-up. I put Waldo. Like, he was the one, he brought real evidence to the table, and he died for it. Like, so I gotta give MVP to Waldo.
Oh my god, it's amazing because I was hoping I would be able to figure this out, but like those are literally my 2 that I'm trying to decide between.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like you picked Audrey really recently, too.
I did, I know.
I think when we did with Ryan, you
Mhm.
2 both picked Audrey.
Yes, that's right. So maybe I should pick Waldo just because.
And then it's
but
his
Audrey's
only
so
chance
good.
to...
It is his only chance to be MVP, and he does like save Bobby's life, kind of
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So that's a pretty big deal, and I do love Bobby. So yeah, you're right. That's gonna put it over the edge for me. Waldo, we hardly knew ye. That's our Waldo.
That's Waldo.
Matt, do you have anything you would like to plug?
There's the podcast, X-Rated Movies. That's really the only thing that I have. Me and an ex-boyfriend talk about movies, EX-rated. We've been going for 4 years. We took the summer off because like we recorded through the pandemic. All we did was work and record, and we recorded more episodes in the pandemic than we recorded in like the previous 3 years. And so, yeah, we were just like, we need to discover life outdoors and with other people.
Another podcast.
Yeah, and so, yeah, we plan to return sometime after Labor Day. Yeah, X-Rated Movies, 4 years strong.
It's really good. It's such
thank
an
you.
entertaining podcast. I love it. I listen to even movies that I haven't seen.
The thing that I always think about it is like, this is the exact type of podcast that I would want to listen to even if I were not on it.
Yeah,
So-
that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
I also really like how you watch movies that I would never be able to revisit. Like, we need to talk about Kevin, or there's something about Kevin, as you guys called it.
I know, that's right.
God, what, that movie's a bummer.
It's such a bummer, and I love that I was able to laugh a little bit while listening to your episode about it, because that's not something I would have imagined being able to do.
One of our fans superimposed There's Something About Mary with like images from We Need to Talk About Kevin. So it's Ezra Miller like jacking off and like looking over his shoulder. They took Tilda Swinton's face and put it over Cameron Diaz's face with like her hair like up with the cum and stuff.
Oh my god. Wow,
Yeah.
that's like a Tumblr I need. Like, does Tumblr exist anymore? I guess it probably doesn't, but whatever, I guess Instagram is that now. Anyway, we need that. That's it. Awesome, well thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Had a lot of fun.
Really Weird Stuff is hosted by Annie Malone and Jessica Baxter. Music by Julie Cruz, Angelo Badalamenti, and Jessica Baxter. If you enjoyed Really Weird Stuff, please take a minute to rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on Instagram at Really Weird Stuff Pod, on Twitter at Really Weird Pod, and on Facebook at Really Weird Stuff Podcast. Thank you for listening.